Jesus said the greatest thing that we can do is to love the Lord our God with all of our heart, soul, mind, and strength. I've learned that, and I'm sure you have in different ways in your own life. There's a passage and a story that I want to share with you today as we think about renewing our love relationship with the Lord. I became a Christian when I was 16, and I was very earnest to know the Lord more. And so the way that I did that was through studying, through reading. I remember staying home on Fridays and Saturday nights and choosing not to go out with friends and instead reading books. I remember specifically reading Howard Hendricks' book, Living by the Book, so that I could learn to study the Bible for myself. There was also another friend that I got to know in high school. He wasn't in my normal circle of friends, but after I became a Christian, we met each other and I found out he had a whole library of R.C. Sproul videotapes, those old VHSs. And so I would go over to his house, and instead of playing video games, we would watch R.C. Sproul videotapes. I was so hungry to know God and to love God as I got to know more about Him and His truth. And I took that path as far as I could go and went to seminary and even did a PhD in New Testament. And yet this passage from Revelation 2 hit home with me at a point later in my Christian life where I realized that while I had continued to love studying about God, my love for the Lord Himself was not a match for that. Revelation 2:2-5 says, Jesus writing to a church through John, I know your deeds, your hard work, and your perseverance. I know that you cannot tolerate wicked men, and that you have tested those who claim to be apostles but are not, and have found them false. You have persevered, and you have endured hardship for my name, and have not grown weary. Yet I hold this against you. You have forsaken your first love. Remember the height from which you have fallen. Repent and do the things that you did at first. If you do not repent, I will come to you and remove your lampstand from its place. See, I identified so much with this church and just said yes, yes, yes through the first few verses where Jesus is saying, your doctrine is right on. And you're so committed, you persevere and you endure, and no hardship can knock you off of your feet in terms of your faith. And yet there was something that was so lacking in that church that Jesus said, if that's not fixed, I'm going to have to remove your lampstand from its place. And do you know that in that context, the lampstand is the church itself? Jesus is saying this issue that's lacking, your love, your passionate, fervent love for me, if that isn't remedied, I'm going to actually have to abolish your church. I'm going to have to remove it and displace it altogether. That love for God that you and I renew every day to Him like we do with the dearest ones in our lives is so important. It cannot be overestimated. So I've learned since that time to take time every day just to spend time loving God, apart from books even, to put on worship music and just tell the Lord how much I love Him. Or even without worship music, I've learned from traveling to Uganda, really to learn from them more than to do missions, where they take time every time when they pray to start by just hallowing the name of the Lord, just blessing the Lord without music. It can just be with your words, with your hands lifted up, just adoring and praising and admiring God for how wonderful He is. Taking time every day to do that does wonders for keeping our hearts soft and fresh and inclined to the Lord Himself, who loves us so, so much. And we just love Him in return. I encourage you to restore that love relationship with the Lord today and every day.